Hey guys, welcome to my next reading vlog. I am so excited you are here. I just finished reading Stormlight Archive Book 2, Words of Radiance, and I need to read something a little bit lighter now, so I am excited because I am about to start Someone You Can Build a Nest In by Wiswell. Let's see if I can get it to focus on that. There we go. So this is a creepy monster story that on the first page already looks like it's going to be kind of gory and strange and all that. So I'm pretty excited about it. I did want to show you all. I think in my last vlog, I was talking about decorating my Kindle, and I did. And look at it. I love it so much. Today I'm off work. I have no plans that are pressing. And I think that what I'm going to do is I'm going to go out to the library and pick up a few books that I have on my TBR for the month of May. And then I think I'm going to do a little bit of thrift shopping. If I find any books, I will let you know. A lot of the time, there aren't really any books at all at the thrift stores in my area. I don't know why. I see people go on these amazing hauls, and I'm like, oh, how did you do that? Because where I live, they are so terrible. But anyway, so I'm going to do that. Might do some grocery shopping if the mood strikes me, but in general, it looks like the world is my oyster today. I don't have anything planned to do. So I think I'm going to start out by going and picking up some coffee and a pastry and starting my book. And I will take you all with me. So if it's your first time here, welcome. Now let's start the vlog. So I have returned. I did buy that ridiculous t-shirt at Goodwill, so I'm looking forward to wearing that later. I went to 3 different library branches to find all the books I was looking for, and then I went to Aldi to pick up some stuff to have for dinner. And I can report I have read the first 50 pages of Someone You Can Build a Nest In. And so far, it's both funny and just about the strangest thing that I have ever read. Our main character is a monster. Her name is Shen, which I guess I'm going to be saying a lot during this vlog. And she has just been woken from her hibernation by 2 monster hunters and 1 very angry homeowner whose home she's living in. That's the setup at the beginning of the book. It is quite funny. It's also pretty gory. There's a lot of talk about entrails and spinal columns, and so it's kind of like treading this line between horror and humor and fantasy and all those things. So far I am really enjoying it. But right now I am going to go into the kitchen and I'm going to start some dinner. I think I'm going to make some Cuban black beans and rice and maybe have some sausages on the side for dinner because I did stop at Aldi on my way home, so I picked up some things to have. And yeah, see you back here later with another update. Good morning. It is Saturday, and I have read about 20% of my book, and I am here with a little bit of an update to talk about how I feel about it. So, I am really enjoying it. I will say that it is a lot more gory than I was kind of expecting it to be. I want to read a quote. So, this is like from the first page. Okay. So, she's talking about the monster, is talking about some of her like first memories, and she says, in that warmth, they were fed raw life. Her father's ribs, rich in marrow, cracking delicately in their mouths, and providing the first feast of their lives. His fat deposits were generous, and his entrails sheltered them from the cruel winter elements. So there's a lot of body horror, but it's also like super cozy and sweet. And I'm kind of really into the love story. And also, Shen the monster, she is very funny. Let me see. Let me find another one. So this one, I love this one. This one is, so some people were talking about having to burn her because she's a monster. Well, you'll hear. So she's talking about people that are wanting to burn her. So fire. Fire is the worm's one weakness. Being burned was a weakness of hers, insofar as it was a weakness of every living thing she'd met. You could roast a sheep or a human on a fire, and nobody called that their weakness. Anyway, it's super funny. It's very cute. I'm really enjoying it. I'm only about 20% in, so it's not going super quickly, but hopefully I'll get some reading time tonight. We are about to head out right now and go get some brunch. It is Kentucky Derby Day. We are from Louisville, so I always get super homesick on Derby Day if I don't go home. So I'm wearing my Derby shirt. It says "Weep No More, My Lady," which is from my old Kentucky home, which is the Kentucky State song. And I am probably going to watch the Derby. I'm sure I'm going to watch the Derby, assuming I can find it on streaming somewhere. And then we are supposed to go out to dinner with one of my friends later tonight. But for right now, we're headed out to brunch and then to get the rest of our groceries for the week and things like that. So not a lot going on right now, but it's kind of nice to have a slow day. And I'm really enjoying my book. So I'll be back in a little bit. Good morning. It is Monday morning, and I am here with my review of Someone You Can Build a Nest In by John Wiswell. So I have such mixed feelings about this book. I don't even know where to start, but I think I'm going to start with just a general summary. So we are following a monster. Her name is Shen. And she has been on her own. She ate her siblings years ago. She's been living on her own in this lair, and she is rudely awakened from her hibernation by a group of monster hunters and the heir of the Baroness of this city-state that she lives in. So we progress from there. Some things happen. There's a lot of bloody things that happen. There's a lot of talk of viscera and gore and spinal columns and all those things. But somehow she winds up impersonating a human. And she meets a girl named Homily. Homily is a character that I really struggled with because I felt like she was so perfect and so forgiving of Shen for a lot of the admittedly understandable lies that she told in hiding the fact that she was a monster. Homily takes care of her as she heals from injuries that were sustained while dealing with these monster hunters. And then it turns out that Homily is the heir or one of the daughters of the Baroness as well. And the Baroness comes to town and there is a huge hunt going on for Shen, which she joins in in her guise as a human. So that's the setup for the book. And I don't know that that really necessarily explains what it is. I would say that it is definitely a romance. It's a romance, but it's a romance that is kind of based on the fact that Homily thinks that she Shen is a human. And that's a little bit concerning, although of course the truth is going to come out in the end, right? I think that for me, the romance in this book did not really land. Very early on, we see Shi Shen referring to Homily as her girlfriend, which first of all, Shi Shen is a monster. I don't know how she understands the concept of boyfriend, girlfriend, any of that stuff, but she just leaps right to it. And that happens very early on. It's kind of almost an insta-love kind of situation for both of them. And while they were very sympathetic characters, and the monster's point of view in particular was very charming at times, it still just didn't really hit for me, and I didn't really understand why they liked each other so much. There's a lot of other stuff that goes on in this book, but I would say primarily it is very bloody. It is very much horror forward, but horror in this not really straightforward horror kind of way. So there's a lot of dismemberment and stabbing people in the neck and that kind of thing. There's a lot of horror that is played pretty straight. It's very awful. And I am not someone who is queasy, but I got a little bit queasy at points in the story because it was just so much body horror. So if that's something that doesn't work for you, I would be aware. That's why I can't really recommend this book for fans of cozy fantasy. It feels like a cozy fantasy. It feels like a cozy romantasy, except for those parts. So if you're somebody who likes a cozy fantasy, but also likes some horror, then this could be the title for you. But for me, because I didn't really connect with those characters, it landed at about a 3-star for me. So kind of a pretty middle of the road rating. I still think there are a lot of people who are going to really love this book. It's going to really be their jam, but it wasn't really my jam as much as I wanted it to be. So that's the end of my thoughts for that. I am going to move on because I don't want to end the vlog on that note. And I have started another book. I've started Two Twisted Crowns by Rachel Gillig, which I have on my Kindle, which I think you can see. There we go. And I am about 30% of the way into it, and I would really love to get a 5-star read. This book is very different so far from the first book because you're not exactly following the same characters. I really don't want to spoil the plot of a sequel, but I will talk some about how I feel about it as I continue reading it. But right now, it is Monday morning, and I am going to run late for work if I don't get going right now. So I will be back later with another update. Okay, so it's Thursday, so a little bit later than I was hoping for it to be, and I am back with a big reading update. I think this is kind of turning into a what I read this week kind of vlog, and I'm fine with that. So I did finish Two Twisted Crowns, and I loved it. I feel like it was such a example of how you do a sequel correctly. It didn't feel like it should have just been one book and they tried to stretch it out. The second book in the duology actually mostly tells the story of a different couple. So I don't want to spoil anything from the first book. So I'm not going to say their names, but a different couple who I really enjoyed getting to know and their love story. And I actually might have in some ways liked them better than Elspeth and Raven from the first book. Of course, Elspeth and Raven are in this book, but it's not their love story because their love story was the first book. I just thought it was really great. I thought the writing was good. I actually thought it was a little better in the second book. I just thought it was a really great conclusion to the series, and it really lived up to the first book. I rated it 5 stars, just like I did the first one. So it's a 5-star duology, and I was not disappointed. And I was so excited to not be disappointed because I am so often disappointed by second books. So that was a 5-star read for me. Would highly recommend that. So then after that, I started The Ministry of Time by Kaliane Bradley, I think is how you say her name. And I was hoping to be back with an update on that book and tell you what I thought about it. But unfortunately, I DNF'd it. And I feel like there are a lot of people who are going to really, really connect to and love this book. So I don't want to put it down. It is the story of a Ministry of Time, of this British governmental agency that has a doorway to the past, and they are going back and they are pulling people who were supposed to have died from their respective time periods right before they died, bringing them to the future, where they are assigned a handler, which are called bridges, and they are tasked with integrating them into our society. So I thought that was a really intriguing setup. I really liked the first chapter. I thought the writing was very witty in this kind of British kind of way, if you know what I mean. So I was really enjoying it right up until the part where I realized that the Arctic explorer that is being brought forward to live with our unnamed main female character is based on a real person. So, and I can't really explain it except to tell you that I've never liked real person fanfic. It always just gave me like the ick. I don't like it. And that's where this took me. It took me to that same place, and I was like, oh, but I feel like this, it just feels not okay to me that there are like sexy scenes being written with this actual Arctic explorer who died horribly on an Arctic expedition. No, no, thank you. So I, at about 30%, I decided I was going to DNF it, and then I did read the ending because people had said in some of the reviews I saw that there was a twist. Read the twist, wasn't that impressed with the twist, but maybe I would have been if I'd read the whole book. I don't know. So can't really recommend that one for me, but like I said, I feel like a lot of people are going to really love it, and I've already seen a lot of really great reviews. It's a new release. If it sounds interesting to you, I still think you should check it out. It didn't work for me, which I was kind of sad about because it was one of my anticipated books. So then I was like, I got to get back on my TBR that I chose for this month. So I picked up A Master of Djinn from the library. So this book is by P. Djèlí Clark. It is the story of, well, actually, hang on, let me back up a little bit. So this story is set in 1912 Cairo, but it's not our Cairo. It is very much an alternate history version of Cairo where djinns are real and magic is real, and it's also got a very kind of steampunk vibe to it. Like they have airships and things like that. So it's definitely actually kind of really different from how I was feeling. I feel like the world building is great. I am 25% into it right now, and I am really enjoying it. I feel like maybe it's going to be more about the plot and the setting than it is about the characters, who so far I like, but I'm not feeling super connected to. But that could change too. But I am really enjoying this one. I picked it for book that won an award because it did win the Nebula Award for Best Novel the year that it came out, which I think was 2021. So that's what I'm doing right now with that. So my plan is to continue this vlog until either tomorrow or Saturday. So whichever, whenever I finish this book, if I finish it tomorrow, finish it Saturday, just to kind of get a week in my reading. I've also been using, and this is like a new thing for me. So I picked up this app called Bookly. You can see my horrible cracked phone screen there. That is primarily about building reading habits, and I already read a lot, but sometimes I need to be reminded. And it allows you to track your reading time, and I'm very into that because the Kindle, which I read on a lot of the time, doesn't have the ability to track reading time, which I don't like. So this lets me track my reading time. It also gives me some stats, like how many pages you're reading in an hour, although, of course, that's going to depend on the size of the font and the pages and everything like that. Like, I read Two Twisted Crowns much faster than I'm reading this book, but Two Twisted Crowns is a book that came out, I think, in paperback only, so it has smaller pages than the hardback version of Master of Djinn. So yeah, I'm really enjoying that. I don't know if anybody else uses that, but I personally have been really enjoying using it. The free version only lets you save 10 books at a time, but if you're just using it as a reading timer, I feel like that's probably fine. There is a paid version. It's kind of expensive. All right, so it's 8 o'clock. And I'm going to go into work a little bit early today so I can try to leave a little bit early if possible, which is always good. It's been raining here for the whole week. Like, there was one night this week that we had lightning-based thunderstorms for about 3 or 4 hours in the middle of the night that I couldn't sleep through. So it's been kind of a unusual kind of week here. Haven't really done a lot outside of work and reading and making dinners and things like that. So it hasn't been the most exciting week, but I have gotten some really good reading in. So I'll be back in a little bit with an update. Good morning. How about a quick update on my progress reading Master of Djinn? So I am 63% into the book now, so about 270 or 80 pages, something like that. And I'm actually really enjoying it. It is a mystery. I think that what I like about it is that the world building is so strong. This world, this kind of steampunky, this kind of steampunky world where jinns are real and apparently angels are real, and things like that. And everything is kind of steampunky, and I'm just really enjoying it. I think it's just really different. The characters are not quite as strong, I feel like, as the world building. Like, the world building is amazing, but I'm not having quite as good of a time trying to, but I am really enjoying it. I think it's going to be a pretty highly rated book for me, and I do think that maybe I'll be able to finish it tonight, but certainly tomorrow morning, and then we can end this vlog with a week of reading. So I will head off to work now. It is Friday, and when I get back, I'm going to plan to do a lot of reading, and I will see you all later. All right. Welcome to the actual end of this really long reading vlog. I have finished A Master of Djinn, which I am going to give 4 stars, and I actually really recommend it. The setting in this kind of mystical, steampunk, magical Cairo was just so vivid and so well done. I was really, really impressed with the world building. This was my first book from P. Djèlí Clark. I would definitely read another one. I was just really impressed. It painted such a vivid picture that I actually was just saying that maybe we should take a trip to Egypt. And John, I think, was like, well, where did that come from? Because this book was so well done, although I'm probably going to be disappointed when they don't have airships, but oh well. So that's going to be 3.5 books that I read for this vlog. I had 1 5-star, which was Two Twisted Crowns. I had a 3-star, which was Someone You Can Build a Nest In. I had a DNF in The Ministry of Time, and then a 4-star read in A Master of Djinn. So I am really happy with that spread of things. I feel like I had a really great week of reading, and I really enjoyed filming this vlog. So I'll see y'all next time.